Hi guys, it's Cindy, aka Disney Queen. Today we are going to talk how to budget for a hotel at Disney World. So stay tuned. Hi guys, it's Cindy, aka Disney Queen. Today I just want to kind of chat with you about how we budget for our hotel stay. Recently, in the last couple of years, we've really been discussing staying off property again, which we haven't done that in quite a few years, and renting a house. So that is an option for you, and I do have a video about staying on property versus staying off property, and I will put a link below to that video. Today I wanted to discuss how we've always planned for staying on property at Disney on a budget. And for us, our budget is usually, I think the most that I've ever paid for a hotel stay is maybe $150. And I want to say not even that much when we've stayed on property at a value resort. I know that there are a lot of people who don't really like the value resorts because one, there are a lot of rooms, which means there are a lot of people. But if you think about it, it's really not much larger than some of the other hotels, but the difference in costs can make a difference. Now, I will say this, that if you have a family of 5 or more, then the value isn't always a value for you because you would have to get 2 rooms. But if you are 2 adults and 2 children, or 2 adults, another child and a baby, you can have a very good vacation and stay in a value resort. And I say that because usually if it's like your first time to Disney, there's so many things that you want to do and experience. Most people are like gung-ho, want to get in the parks and just like, be in the parks all day long. I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that all day long. Maybe depending on the time of the year that you go, if the weather is not too hot, but there are going to be times where you want to take a break. And even though the value resorts are not large rooms, you can take a break and take a nap or go to the pool. And their pools are fun. They don't have like big slides and everything, but you can still have fun at a value resort pool. As far as eating, it is a good place if you are on a budget for eating because they have, simple meals that you can get quick service for. And so it is a good value, and it is a place that I would recommend. We have actually stayed at the sports resort. We have stayed at the Pop Century Resort, and we have stayed at I want to say we've stayed at the Movies Resort. It's either movies or music. We might have stayed at music. And that's where we've stayed the majority of the time as adults, with adult children. It can be something that you can do, especially if you are on a tight budget, but you really want to go to Disney. So one of the very first things that I do when I am planning for a Disney trip is I will go online onto the Disney site and look at what is available for the time that I want to go. And then once I do that, then I kind of have an idea of what the cost will be. And we usually plan a year in advance as far as booking our resort and starting to pay on it. I said that in my last budget video that one of the things that we do is we pay on our trip up until the time that it's almost time to go. And the reason we do that is because it means that we're not having to have a large sum at the time of visit. And that really makes a difference. After I look online and see what's available, because sometimes, believe it or not, you can get one resort for a different price. Even though they are all value resorts, you can get the price for one at a different price than you would necessarily at another. So technically the value resorts are All-Star Music, All-Star Sports, All-Star Movies, Pop Century, and I believe that the animation resorts are also considered value, but they do cost a little bit more because most of them are family suites. So basically you're getting a space where you can accommodate up to 6 people, I believe. I've actually never stayed at the animation resorts, and so I don't really know a whole lot of information about them, but I have stayed at the other resorts. So the rooms all kind of look the same. They were recently updated. The floor plan has changed just a little bit. So basically, it has a table that you can put up that is like a Murphy bed. So when the table is down, it's a bed that will accommodate 2 people. And then when it goes up, it's like a table that has chairs around it. And then there is usually a either full size or queen size bed beside that. I don't have any pictures of that, but I will put a link below to so you can see what they look like if you haven't already seen what the value resorts rooms look like. And then it has a bathroom area with a full tub and a sink outside of the bathroom area and toilet, of course. And it's not the biggest rooms in the world. So if you had, like, say, 2 small children and 2 adults, or 2 adults and a baby and a child, you probably can get a playpen in there, or now they call them what they call pack and play. Back in the day when I had babies, they were called playpens. You can probably get that and the stroller in the room, but I just want you to know that it will be tight. Now, if you have a family of 5 and they're either adults or teens, you will have to look into getting rooms that are side by side, because Walt Disney does not actually, their value resorts do not accommodate 5 people. They really only accommodate 4 people. And so you would have to look at getting connecting rooms. Now that's when things change a little bit for you. When you're deciding on a room and you say you need connecting rooms and you're looking at the value resorts, before you make that final decision, go and compare the price for 2 value rooms to the price of the family suites at animation. And the reason I'm saying that is because animation rooms will give you a separate bedroom, a living area, and then like a dining area. But that dining table also pulls down to be a Murphy bed that will sleep 2. I believe the living area has a sofa that will sleep sofa sleeper, and then it has a bedroom, and I believe it has 2 bathrooms, but I'm not positive. if I'm wrong, I will correct myself. And so the cost of getting 2 rooms versus getting the suite might be a better accommodation for your family. So that would be my first tip before making a conclusion on where you're going to stay. Compare the prices of the resorts during that time. Sometimes you can get a good deal on a larger room suite, or even there may not be much of a difference in price for a value resort versus a moderate resort. The ones that are really going to cost you a lot of money are the ones that are the deluxe resorts, like Grand Floridian or the Polynesian Resort or the Contemporary Resort, or even like Wilderness Lodge, or if you DVC points. But I personally am a value girl, have stayed at the value resorts, have been happy with the value resorts, have very few complaints about the value resorts, and that's where we've stayed when my kids were teenagers and as adults. So that's what I know, that's what I'm going to talk about. So after you've kind of pinpointed which value resort you're going to stay at, what the price is going to be, the next thing that you'll be doing is booking. You can book directly with Disney, no problem. They will help you out and get you started. But I personally have learned over the years that as much as I love planning Disney, I still like the convenience and the safety of using a travel agent. And the travel agency that I have used for years now, my goodness, since back in the 90s, has been Dreams Unlimited. And so I will put a link below to Dreams Unlimited. Everything is done online. Once you have put in, one of the things I really like about Dreams Unlimited, and I'm sure other travel agencies do this too, is once you put in your information, they will send you a quote. You have a certain period of time of which to decide if that's the reservation you'd like to go with, and then you will send your deposit and they will set you up. But that doesn't end your experience with their company. They will walk you through everything. If you have questions, you can email them. They will answer it. At least I know the travel agent that I have used, she has been amazing. I'm really hoping and praying that she is still working for them when it's time for us to do our own vacation. If we stay on property, like I said, we are actually leaning towards staying off property this time. But if I was to stay on property, I would still use Dreams Unlimited. They do actually do some off-property things as well, so be sure to check out their website. This is not a sponsored video. They do not know that I'm recommending them. They are just the people that I have used for years and always been satisfied with. So once you do that and you set up your reservation, they will send you a confirmation, and they will then start discussing with you what other things you'd like to do for your vacation. They have recommendations and tips. They give you a sheet with ideas for your trip. One of the things that I really love is that they help you with your dining, if you're going to be making reservations for dining. But she goes with you through the whole process, and then even checks on you just before you leave and after you. At least that, like I said, that's what the lady that I use does. So as far as budget, I've said it before, we do not use credit cards. It was just a decision our family made a long time ago, and so our trips are always paid for out of our own pocket. And because of that, we have to really plan out when we're going to do it. So long story short, we pay on it every month, or we pay a large lump sum and then pay another large lump sum before we leave for our trip. especially if we're doing like a package deal. Most of the time, we've always done a room only, which saves us a little money and allows you, if you would like, to not have to pay the balance until you get there. But we try our best to pay on it so that when we get there, we don't have to worry about that. The ways that we save basically is we set a budget of, okay, this is how much each of us, because it's usually at least 4 of us, 4 adults, I will sit down with them and say, this is how much the room costs. These are the reservations we're going to make while we're there for eating. And then anything else over that period, is usually fast food or some, off-property restaurant. And then I'm trying to think, what else do I add to it? There are a couple of stuff, like sometimes I'll say, make sure you allot this amount for souvenirs. I mean, I do this with me and my husband and my adult children. I plan out pretty much our entire trip. And so they always have like a little itinerary before they leave. So basically, once we know what the amount for the room is going to be for the period of time we're there, we're usually there from 7 to 8 days. Then we will divide that up equally between the 4 people, and we are each responsible for our own portion of the trip. It's been that way for probably the last 10 years, because my kids are in their 30s. So after we do that, like I said, then I give them like a payment plan option. And I say, okay, it's going to cost this much. Let's break it down into 12 payments. And this is the amount that you have to pay each month. Or you can save and pay a certain amount by a certain period of time. That's the way we've been doing it for years. It works for us. It's not anything really complicated. You know what your price is going to be. You break it down between your 4 people, and then you just pay on it, and you pay it off before you leave for your trip. I would say, like I said, first of all, really do some research on the price differences. Sometimes you can catch a price decrease, or depending on what time of the year that you go, the price may be different. If you can, try not to go during the very peak season because you will pay more. My second tip would be to use a travel agent if at all possible. And the reason I say that, especially when it comes to your rooms, is because if there's any change, or if Disney gives any kind of discount last minute, or even within that time frame that you're paying on your trip, your travel agent will catch it before you will, or before those discounts are gone, and can make the changes for you. That has happened to us a couple of times. So that would be my second tip. And then my final tip would be to pay on it monthly or quarterly, whatever works best for you. But don't wait until the last minute to be paying on it, because then it kind of frees up your other money for food, for souvenirs, for extras. Anything that you might have come up, at least the room will have already been paid for. So I always keep a binder that has information in it about the hotel. I usually have like a map of the hotel printed out so that we know easily how to find our room when it comes to our room. I put in my request early with my travel agent as to what, do I want to be on the 3rd floor? Do I want to be near the pool? As adults, we really don't need to be near the pool. I like the quieter areas, so I will request that we are near parking, but further away from the front entrance or the pool area. Because it can get loud at the value resorts. The other thing that we always do is, I know you can, well, right now you might not even be able to go check in at the desk, but we check in at the desk. And the reason why we do that is because you never know what's going to happen if you check in at the desk. Sometimes you can get an upgrade. Sometimes they will give you extra surprises. That happened to us on our last trip. It made it the most magical trip ever because of the fact that the manager pulled us aside and gave us the cups for the drink cups as part of our package. So we didn't have to pay for those. And they did like a big buttons picture and gave us buttons because my husband and I were celebrating our anniversary and my daughter was celebrating her birthday, and they made it extra special. So that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't gone and done check-in. I know that check-in can like make things easier sometimes because you don't have to, you can go straight to your room. But sometimes I personally just like being able to go up to the desk and say, I'm checking in, and have them tell me welcome home. That just helps to make my trip start off good. So I do have a planner video where I talk to you about how I set up my planner binder and all the different sections that are in it, and I will put a link to that below. But basically I have my hotel information, phone numbers I can call in case of an emergency, a map of the area, information about the room. In this case, if we go back and we stay at a Disney room resort, we are probably going to have to ask for a wheelchair accessible room, which I'm sure there are not that many of them. So that's another reason to book way ahead of time, so that if you have special requests, the chance of getting that request, if it's in your reservation, you got a better chance perhaps of getting that. No guarantees. I'm thinking we may have to be on the first floor, which is something we've never done before. We may have to look into getting a room where you can, go right into the shower instead of a tub. I mean, those are all things that we're going to have to think about now. And then I always print out what the restaurants are that are available at the hotel that we're staying at, so that I can look at the menu, because in my process of planning, I want to know how much I'm spending on food, and I will do a segment about that at some point too. I even include pictures of the rooms just to get myself excited about it. That's about it. I think for me, planning and picking out my hotel is like the first step to really making the trip seem real, because where you stay does play an important part in how you enjoy your trip. But I don't want people to think that because you stay at a value resort, that you can't still enjoy vacation. You can still enjoy your vacation. You may not spend as much time in your room, but for us personally, we spent very little time in our room. Most of our time was spent out and about. It wasn't always at the parks. Sometimes it was at Disney Springs. Sometimes it was off property because, we do usually travel by car. That's something else to keep in mind when you're planning. If you're traveling by car, there are parking fees now. The value resort is the cheapest as far as parking fees is concerned. You still will, by staying on property, you still will be able to go into the parks, park at the parks for free, at least at the time of this video. Where your room is in conjunction to the pools. If that's something that's important to you, then you might want to be closer to the pool area. If you want a little bit of peace and quiet, there are outer buildings that are very quiet, even though it is a value resort. And then take into consideration, do you want to be nearby to the main lobby area so that you can be near the food? That personally was never a big deal to us because we rarely ate at the restaurants in the at the value resort, but we would sometimes go in the morning so my husband and my daughters could get coffee. And the walk really was not that far away, and then we would just go back and get in our car and head to the parks or head out to wherever we were going for that day. So I hope a few of these tips were helpful to you. I hope that if you are looking to go to Disney, that you know that you can do it on a budget, and that budget does not have to be pie in the sky high, that it can be done and you can enjoy yourself, and it is still a great vacation. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? And if you'd like to know when the next video comes out, all you have to do is hit that little notification bell below. So until I see you the next time, have a blessed day. Bye.